In the United States, there are three basic types of taxes that you're going to have to deal with. There's taxes on your income, what you earn. There's sales taxes on what you buy. And then there are taxes on what you own, which are property taxes. Property taxes vary state by state, and they're kind of the easiest. They're complicated, but you can't do much about it. They exist, and they're different in every state. In this video, I want to talk about the big differences between the income taxes and the sales taxes and how they specifically apply to non-residents. So, because I get questions about income taxes and sales taxes all the time, and I want to explain it in more detail so you understand exactly how these apply to you. So when we're talking about income taxes, we're talking about literally how much you make. A corporation with $1 million of profit is going to pay 21% income taxes on that profit. If I make $1 million, I'm going to pay up to 37% on my $1 million of profit. Sales taxes are different. And from the lens of the non-resident, most of my clients and the people that I work with are doing e-commerce and living in different countries around the world. Many times they won't be paying any income taxes because they have no effectively connected income with a U.S. trade or business, and um, they have no presence in the U.S. and they have no reason to pay income taxes here. No reason, but there's legal basis for them not to pay income taxes. Let's say it that way. So then they ask about the sales taxes, and sales taxes are very different. In the United States, we have the federal government, which includes all of the states put together. We have the federal government. They have the federal income tax, and that's what we're most commonly talking about is federal income taxes because they're the highest and they apply to the most people, basically everyone, where state taxes are different. For example, I live in Florida. I pay federal taxes because I'm an American citizen, but I don't pay Florida taxes because Florida doesn't have a personal income tax. So on my income personally, I don't pay taxes here. Whereas if I lived in Georgia, I would pay income taxes personally. So the income tax rules, just like the sales tax rules, are different from state to state. However, the IRS doesn't have a sales tax. There's excise taxes, and there's like some value-added taxes, but it's not generally included with sales taxes, which are very common and apply to almost everything. So the sales taxes are set up and governed by the states independently. So Florida has its own sales tax rules, Georgia, California, New York, everyone has their own sales tax rules. They try to create some uniformity to make it easier for it to apply, but generally they have separate rules. So if you have no income, you still might be required to collect and remit sales taxes. So I think I'm talking too big picture. So for a foreign-owned for a regular company that sells shoes on the internet, you aren't really paying sales taxes if you do it right. You are collecting sales taxes because it's a tax on the purchase. The person buying is the person that should be paying the taxes. So you wouldn't really be paying sales taxes. You would just be collecting it and sending it to the government. And that's now, luckily for most of you, done by most of the major uh, online retailers. So if you're selling on Amazon, Amazon will collect and pay all of the sales taxes on everything you ship, on everything you sell to people in Florida or in almost every state. They just recently added Florida. Same with Walmart, same with eBay. I think Etsy is doing it too. I can't confirm, don't quote me there. But Amazon and Walmart and eBay are probably the biggest e-commerce um, facilitators out there, the biggest online retailers out there, and they're doing all the work for you. And the states love this because they are guaranteed to get paid, not guaranteed, but they get paid. And then the people like this because they don't have to deal with any of it. The problem comes when you are running a Shopify store or when you are doing, selling products outside of these retailers and outside of these online retailers that do all the work for you. So if you're running a Shopify store, you have to count the sales you send to each state and see if you meet the economic thresholds for actually collecting and remitting the sales taxes, which I'll discuss here. In 2018, Wayfair versus South Dakota, it was a court case where South Dakota challenged Wayfair, who was selling online stuff, and actually won the case. Before determining whether you had to collect sales tax, you had to see if you had a presence in the state. per the Wayfair case, now it's all based on economic nexus. So if you sell over 200 items or over $100,000 of sales within a given period, usually a year, you have to start collecting and remitting the sales tax in that state. And that is, most states are adopting that, and most states are following these rules. So regarding sales taxes, again, I think we know the difference. Income taxes are on how much you earn. Generally, they apply to the federal government. If you have a corporation, go in the states. Sales taxes apply on when you're buying stuff. If you're a non-resident selling into the US, you have to only collect sales taxes potentially on your sales which are shipped into the United States. So if you're not selling to the United States, you don't have to deal with US sales taxes. If you're using Amazon or Walmart, you don't really have to really deal with US sales taxes. If you're using Shopify, that's when you have to kind of figure it out and implement it. Because the problem comes when you meet the economic nexus threshold, you're selling a lot through your own website, your own store, but you don't collect sales taxes, you put yourself at major risk. Because the problem is you're not collecting sales taxes from the people you're selling to. Therefore, if the sales tax rate, it's 7% in Florida. If you sell $500,000 of shoes in Florida, but you collect no sales taxes and you don't send any to Florida, and they determine that you sold this much into Florida, they will make your business pay the tax for your customers. So that's a 7% hit on your gross sales. And on most retail businesses, that's a crushing blow. That's a really tough issuance there. And that's when you really need to be on top of your sales taxes. And this is kind of like an overview video to let you know the differences, let you know what to worry about. It's like a catch-all sales tax video. So it's important, especially if you're doing Shopify, to look into this, Shopify or your own independent website, to look into this and make sure you're doing your sales taxes correctly. Because if you don't, it could really crush your business in the long run, and it could be a potentially fatal blow. So I'm going to keep recapping until you guys really understand this. We got income taxes. It's on income. States do assess it to some people, but not to non-residents who don't have a U.S. trade or business. Neither does the IRS. So if you're a foreign person with no U.S. trade or business and you're not doing anything in the U.S., you don't have to pay income taxes here if you use an LLC. If you use a corporation, some states will make you pay income taxes. Some states don't have income taxes, like Delaware and Wyoming, which is why many people use those states. And regarding sales taxes, almost every state will charge sales taxes. Will have their own sales tax system. There's only a few states that actually don't have a sales tax, but that's not the federal level. That's only the state level. So in summary, sales taxes are serious. They are important. They're very different from income taxes. And if you're selling only on Amazon, it's not that big of a problem for you. But if you're selling on your independently, you really need to look into this to make sure you're set up correctly so you don't get crushed with penalties and have to pay all these taxes later when you should have made your clients pay. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. I know I went all over the place, but I think I give you a really good insight into how this works. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and I'll be happy to help. Thanks.